Back in the book segment tonight, Weekdays at Bernie. As you may know, Rolling Stone magazine reported a false story accusing 7 college students at the University of Virginia of raping a young woman who the magazine called Jackie.
The publisher has said that the blame still lies with Jackie. Do you think that they're blaming the victim too much?
We don't believe that in this case Jackie was to blame.
Flat out, whose fault was this?
Well, it was the collective fault of the reporter, the editor's supervisor, and the fact-checking department.
And joining us now from Miami, the purveyor, BernardGoldberg.com, Mr. Goldberg. So everybody knows Rolling Stone's irresponsible. We don't even know if there is a Jackie. I guess there is, but what she said, nobody can back up. So I don't even know why they're protecting her at this moment. What's the bigger picture?
The bigger picture, Bill, is that while Rolling Stone is guilty of journalistic malpractice, they're not the only villain in this story. Jackie has gotten away with way too much. Let's start with that news conference you just played. The reporter asks, do you think they're blaming the victim too much? Let's get something straight. Jackie's not the victim. Jackie's a liar. She fabricated a story. The victim are those young men at the fraternity house. Then the professor at Columbia University says, we don't believe Jackie was to blame. Well, Jackie wasn't to blame for Rolling Stone's crummy journalism, but Jackie is to blame for starting this fire that has created so much pain and suffering. And then there's the editor of the Rolling Stone story itself. He says, we were too deferential to our rape victim. Again, she makes up a story, but in their mind, she's still a rape victim. Then he goes on to say, we should have been much tougher, and not doing that, we did make her we did maybe do a disservice to her. So Rolling Stone is worried that they did a disservice to Jackie, not that Jackie did a disservice to a whole bunch of other people. Look, the reason this happens, Bill, is because in our liberal, politically correct culture, women are often seen as part of an oppressed class, oppressed by men, of course, and as a result, it's considered bad form. Actually, a better term would be bad gender manners to criticize a woman who claims sexual assault. This is the important part. Even after it turns out that she made up the story. That's pathetic.
Now, the same thing happened to Duke with the lacrosse players. And then you had an added racial element there. Was a black woman who was in the sex trade who came in and said, look, these guys did X, Y, and Z. It turned out to be bogus. Unfortunately, the woman fell on hard times. I mean, she got karma, I guess, kicked in with her. But you're absolutely right. It's the mainstream media now, if there's any allegation about anything, and this is one of the most serious allegations, the allegation is front page. They're very little skeptical about the allegation, especially if it's from a minority, a woman.
And that's the point.
Like that.
That's the point.
There it is. Bang.
That's the point. Okay, look, I've written semi-extensively about the Duke case. In that case, it was a question of good racial manners. So the professors at Duke took the side of this crazy woman, and she was crazy, as it turns out, who made up the story. The civil rights establishment sided with her. The mainstream media sided with her because it was good racial manners. Now we have something else, good gender manners, where you don't question women. You know what? This is disrespectful of women. This is saying we're not going to treat you the way we treat adults, where we hold adults accountable, because you're a fragile hothouse flower. So if you make an accusation, even after it turns out that you lied and made it all up, we're not going to go after you.
No, we're not going to scrutinize you, and you're not going to be anything other than a victim. You're going to remain a victim, even if there's no victimization. Now, this all comes down to one thing, fear. It comes down to fear, because the American press is afraid to be portrayed as bigoted against any minority, all right, or a misogynist against women.
Exactly,
right?
exactly.
So they're just scared to death of being tarred with that label. So therefore, they're going to accept anything that comes from those communities, and they're never going to give a fair shake or fair reportage to any case. That's how bad it is.
You're exactly right. What they do is they put certain people in protected classes. And we know who all these people are. And once you're a member of the protected class, you could do outrageous things, and the watchdogs of our culture, the media, they won't go after you. Bill, I rarely go out of my way to plug my own website, and I appreciate when you do. But I wrote a piece on this at BernardGoldberg.com. That's one of the most important columns I've written, and I'd appreciate it if people, if they had time, if they take a look at it.
All right, we will do so. Bernie Goldberg, everybody, thank you today. If you like American history and you want to know the real truth about the Old West, we have some information for you. The tip, moments away.